Moving to Colorado can be pretty difficult, especially trying to figure out which location fits you and your family best. That's exactly what this video is for. Let's get started. Hi there, Christy Lee here, and I am a local real estate agent in the state of Colorado, but more importantly, I am a native of Colorado. If you're new to my channel, all of my videos are catered to helping you find the best place for you and your family to move. If that's something that interests you, please click that subscribe button right there. That way you are notified every time I have a new video. All right, so today I'm going to be catered or, mainly basing this entire video on northern Colorado. So I'm going to lay out the top 5 suburbs that I definitely think that you should consider if you're planning on moving to Colorado. Now, number 1 is going to be Erie. And as most of you probably already know, I do live in Erie. I've been here for about 8 years or so, and I absolutely love it. And there's so many reasons why Erie became such a great place to live. Now, let's first talk about where Erie is. Erie is going to be about 25-30 minutes north of Denver, and it's just going to be just on the west side of I-25. So you're going to be relatively close to, say, Lafayette, Louisville, and then heading into Boulder. You're only about 25 minutes from Boulder as well. So as far as a location is concerned, if you either work in Denver or Boulder, or you like to visit these areas quite a bit, Erie is going to be a great location for you. Another reason that people are just gravitating towards Erie is that the price point is going to be significantly less than Boulder, but we still get kind of the Boulder vibe, I guess you can say. So Erie never used to be even a place on the map. I mean, honestly, it used to be dirt roads. It used to be a small mining town, and nobody really ever even heard of Erie up until I would say probably about 10-15 years ago, when it actually started to take change and people started to take notice of it. And so houses started being built out here, right? So the homes out here are going to be significantly less than what you could get if you keep on getting farther west towards Boulder. So once you start moving towards Boulder, then, the prices of homes, regardless of the size, are going to be a lot more expensive. So to put this in perspective, on average, right now, the median house price in Boulder is just over $1 million, about 1.2. Median house price in Erie is going to hover right around that $700,000 mark. So you are going to get quite a bit more newer house, if you just live just a little bit farther east of Boulder, and you do get, and you still have, the accessibility to get to both Boulder and Denver, but not nearly paying nearly as much. Another amazing thing that most people do love about Erie is going to be relatively small, or it still feels really small when you live here. So even though it is growing, it's growing rapidly, we do still like to keep that small town feel. So we do have our festivities, our festivals, our parades. Everybody loves to go out to the high school and watch the football games. You're going to have the Santa Claus parade and the Boo on Briggs, which is, when the little kids dress up in their Halloween costumes and go trick-or-treating up and down Main Street. So you're going to have a lot of that kind of feel. You definitely notice it when you come in here. So if you're definitely a city type of person, this probably is not going to be the place for you unless you wanted to kind of take a seat back and chill out, have a life that's a little bit more chill. Erie's going to be great, but if you're something who loves nightlife and loves to, be out and about all the time, probably it's not going to be a best bet. Erie is going to be mainly for people who do want to raise their family here, or, are about to have a family maybe, or planning on having one, or even, are maybe more of the older generation, maybe they're retirees or whatever, but still love to be around and surrounded by the community and the small town feel. Now, one drawback I will say about this particular community or this particular area is that, yes, it is growing. It is growing rapidly, but it's mainly growing with houses. Now, we do have obviously restaurants and stores, but it is not like you would normally see, if you were to go to, some of the other surrounding suburbs that I'm actually going to be talking about. It's more going to be like conveniences, like Walgreens is down the street, or maybe a gas station. We have Burger King, but it's not like your big places like the Targets or Walmarts or anything like that. You will have to drive out of Erie to find those places. Now, when I mean drive out of Erie, I'm talking 10 minutes away. It's nothing drastic, but it's not going to be like you have all of this stuff all right here. As far as restaurants are concerned, we do have a lot of local restaurants, which we love to support, absolutely, but it's not like crazy. We have restaurants on every corner, anything like that. So you will most likely have to leave Erie as well if you're wanting to have more of options as far as restaurants are concerned. And then one final thing I will mention, well, a couple things as far as transportation and things. So people came to me, and I personally have witnessed it as well. It's very hard to find transportation out here. So if you don't have a car, getting part of the bus systems or anything like that is very difficult out here, as well as say Ubers or ride shares. It's pretty much almost impossible to get an Uber out in Erie. I don't know what it is. For whatever reason, we just can't get them out here. Or if they do, just plan on waiting like 45 minutes before they could even get here. So do keep that in mind. If that's something that is a lifestyle of yours where you don't have a car or you rely on public transportation, this area may not be the best fit for you. And then the last thing I do want to mention about this area is their schools. So Erie's split in between two counties. We're in Weld County as well as Boulder County. So that being said, we're also in St. Vrain School District as well as Boulder Valley School District. So depending on which area within Erie you live, you most likely will be either part of a different county or a different school district. So that does make it kind of great, in my opinion, because you could kind of pick and choose where you want to go. Colorado as a whole, you can open enroll to really any school that you'd like in general. So if you do live on one side and you want to go to the other side for schools, you're more than welcome to do that. But out here it is pretty nice because both school districts are, ranked very, very high. Both are great. My kiddos in St. Vrain, I have no problems with St. Vrain, but I do know other families that are in the Boulder Valley School District. Boulder Valley does tend to rank, I believe, is number 1. So they do tend to be a little bit better. However, if you do live in Erie and you are part of the Boulder Valley School District, just know that you're able to go to the elementary schools within Erie. But once you start getting higher up, middle school, high school, we don't have Boulder Valley schools high schools in Erie, so you will have to go to Lafayette. On the flip side, if you're at St. Vrain, Erie High School, Erie Middle, all of that good stuff is actually within the city. So just kind of something to think about. But overall, Erie, in my opinion, is top pick if you're moving somewhere north of Denver. Number 2 on my list is going to be Loveland, Colorado. Now, the reason I chose Loveland, Colorado is mainly because of its outdoor activities that it offers for families, as well as the price points. So Loveland, Colorado is going to be about 45 minutes away north of Denver. And it, again, is going to be on the west side of I-25 for the most part. A little bit kind of sneaks over to the east, but for the most part, everything is going to be on the west side. Loveland has absolutely exploded as well, just like any of the other cities that I'm going to mention is definitely booming. Northern Colorado as a whole is booming, but Loveland tends to be a lot less expensive than its surrounding areas. Now, on average, or the median house price in Loveland in 2022 is going to be actually high 400. So that's significantly less than, say, well, obviously Erie, but Longmont, which I will talk about, Fort Collins, which is north of Loveland, only about 20 minutes or so. So you are going to get a lot more house for a lot less money to live in Loveland. Now, the people who do gravitate towards Loveland are going to be mainly people who either work in Longmont or who work in, say, Fort Collins, or maybe even a little bit of Greeley. They're gonna live in Loveland and then just commute to those other areas just because it does tend to be less expensive. They also, if you move to Loveland, because again, it is on the west side, so you're gonna actually be really close to Rocky Mountain National Park. You're gonna be really close to Estes Park. If you're somebody who loves to hang out outside and do a lot of outdoor activities, hiking and biking, there's Devil's Backbone out there, there's Boyd's Lake out there. There's so many public parks and bike riding and walking trails out in Loveland. It is just a great place to be if you're somebody who loves to be outside. Now, Loveland is growing like everywhere else, so they do offer a lot of new build communities as well. So you're gonna find, like lakes at Centerra or Kingston. These communities are gonna be kind of right around I-25 area. You're gonna have the shops at Centerra, so it's kind of be right around there, and you're gonna get a great house, and it's gonna be brand new right there in the heart of Loveland. Now, another great thing about Loveland and why a lot of people do go out there as well is that it too offers that small town feel, but it's definitely larger than Erie for sure, but it still offers that small town kind of feeling to it. They do have their local events. They do have a lot of art events, so art festivals and activities and craft shows, because the entire city actually is kind of art and sculpture focused. They take a lot of pride in their local artists in Loveland and Colorado in general, but they do have a lot of this on display. Benson Sculpture Park is a great place to walk around and view all the artists and the sculptures within the city. You could also go to downtown Loveland and go to the Rialto Theater and see some performing arts or even concerts that they have out there. Loveland actually has the sign, love is out there, and a lot of people actually get lockets. And they profess their love to each other, and then they lock it on this sculpture, this big sign out there, which is at the community center, the welcome center of Loveland. And that's kind of a way for, you to express your love to your loved ones. And then Loveland's also known for going there as far as for Valentine's Day. So people will actually send cards to Loveland to get it postmarked to have it sent back to their loved one saying it's from Loveland. So that's pretty cool. But if you're going to live in Loveland, the things that are also around is the Shops of Centerra. So Shops of Centerra is going to be an area where you're going to have obviously shopping and restaurants and all those things I said Erie doesn't have. Well, Loveland does, and it's right there. So you're going to have, the Targets, the Walmarts, you have Bath and Body Works, Shields, Hobby Lobby, and a bunch of restaurants right there at your convenience. And then what's also great is that it's located literally right off of I-25. So if you're a commuter, you can really get anywhere at any time if you were to live in Loveland. The schools out in Loveland are also really good, so that is something to consider. They are ranked, I believe last time I checked, was right around number 5, 6-ish. So they are still really good. And, like I said, it's just really mainly a place to bring your family and get something for a little bit less money, and then to experience outdoor living. Loveland, in my opinion, is also a really great starter place too. So if you're somebody who's looking into buying your first home, your first townhome, condo, anything like that, I think Loveland is a great spot, mainly because it's highly desirable. People are moving there, and it's, again, a lot less expensive. So you could get something in the 300,000s and 400,000s, live there for a few years and then sell it, and then move somewhere else if you choose to. So that's just kind of my take on Loveland. I definitely think you should check it out. Number 3 on my list of where you should move in northern Colorado is going to be Longmont. Now, what's funny about Longmont is that if you would have asked me that exact same question even 10, 15 years ago, I would have been like, no way. I do not like Longmont. And mainly it's just because it was just kind of like run down, nothing really going on in Longmont. It wasn't really cool. And it was just like, I don't know. It didn't appeal to me whatsoever. Nowadays, that's completely changed. Longmont has completely revamped its look. People gravitate towards Longmont for several reasons. Now, first off, then one major reason I believe most people do like to go to Longmont is its proximity to Boulder. So if you're somebody who really likes Boulder, or you work in Boulder, you commute to Boulder for whatever reason, Longmont is going to be a great place to live because you can live there and not pay Boulder prices, which is amazing. So to get to Boulder from Longmont, you're looking at maybe 20 minutes. Longmont is going to be located on, again, west side of I-25, and it's going to be just about 30 minutes north of Denver. But to get to Boulder, you're going to take the diagonal. It's going to take you right into Boulder, and it's only going to take you about 20 minutes depending on what side of Longmont you're at. Now, Longmont, as a median house price in Longmont in 2022 is the high 500. So again, a lot less than Boulder. Boulder, remember, was 1.2. Loveland was less than even Longmont. So it's just going to depend on where you want to live and what type of lifestyle you want to live as well. Longmont's really, really great as well because it is so far west. So west, as far as if you are somebody who likes outdoors, you like to ride your bike or go hiking, rafting, whatever that might be, Longmont is going to be great because you are also going to be able to get into Rocky Mountain National Park in about an hour or so. Same with obviously Estes, because that's where Rocky Mountain National Park is. If you're a skier, you could actually go to Eldora, which is just west of Boulder, in probably an hour. I would say that. And then as well as if you want to hit the bigger mountains in Summit County, that's probably going to take you about 2. But not nearly as bad as, say, maybe if you lived in Loveland or Fort Collins, I guess. But the people who do live in Loveland is mainly just because you do want to be so much closer to Boulder. Now, I will say there are still parts of Loveland that I personally still dislike. And, talk to your realtor, contact me, contact anybody, and kind of get their take on it, or definitely come out here and visit it. Because there's newer parts and there's definitely great places. I mean, you have a lot of, new stores and new shopping and movie theaters, and it's just really cleaned up and a lot of the, the parts of it, which is going to be mainly the southwest part of it. But once you get into some of the other parts, it's just kind of, in my opinion, just not as, it needs some work. It still needs some work. But there's still plenty of places that are gorgeous. A great thing about Longmont is there's a lot of water in Longmont. So you could go to McIntosh Lake, which is a beautiful area on the west or northwest side of Longmont. That's a beautiful, beautiful area. The part that's out there, though, you are going to have a little bit older houses, more mature trees, more mature landscaping. If that's something that you love, this area is going to be prime for you. That area is probably hovering right around $700,000 and $800,000. If you're needing something a little bit less expensive, I would probably stay, mainly the east side of Longmont. Again, though, do talk to your realtor about some of the areas, just because, it may not be a good fit for you and your family. I'm not saying anything about, safety or anything like that. Nothing like that. It's just a little bit dirtier, I guess. I mean, that's really the only way I could describe it. It's just not as cleaned up or modernized as some of the other areas within Longmont is, and the parts that are really, really cool. Now, one of the main parts I personally love of Longmont is its main street. Now, that main street has changed so drastically in the last, say, 5-7 years that it's a great place to hang out. It's a great place to take your family, your kids. If you like to eat out and if you like a lot of good food, I would head over to Main Street in Longmont because they have amazing restaurants there. And another great thing about Longmont is its breweries. So their breweries, they have so many within Longmont. I mean, Colorado in general has a bunch, but Longmont has a lot just right there in the city limits. And I believe there's just like 5 kind of piggybacking like right there on Main Street. So it's definitely a great place to go. And to hang out for sure, especially if you like water activities, if you like pier, if you like shopping, it's all a really, really cool place to go. And then if you like to, be close to Boulder, obviously it's a great place as well. Again, just kind of like any city really, but I mainly just because I spent so much time in Longmont, do talk to, somebody that who does spend a lot of time in there and just kind of talk to them about other areas, because some of it I just personally don't like. Just like there's plenty of areas in Erie where I currently live that I don't like either. So I'd be more than happy to explain that to you in person. Number 4 on my list, and a place that I spent a lot of time at, is going to be Broomfield. So Broomfield kind of has the best of all worlds, I think, and it's the biggest. I mean, Broomfield expands so many miles. It's probably the biggest city that I'm going to mention here today. And Broomfield, the reason I love Broomfield is, again, its proximity to really everything. So Broomfield, you're going to be able to access Broomfield right off of I-25, but you also access it on Highway 36 heading out to Boulder. So it does expand quite a bit of space. Depending on which way you go from Denver, it's only going to be really about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. But the reason I do love Broomfield, again, is its proximity to Boulder. I mean, you're right there. So if you want to get into Boulder, but again, not pay Boulder prices, because Boulder does tend to be a lot more expensive, but you do want to access it quite a bit, I would move to Boulder or Broomfield. There's so many places within Broomfield that you could get a great house at a less expensive price. So median house price in Broomfield right now is going to hover right around that $700,000 mark. And you could get, whether it's an older community or a brand new community. Broomfield is building like crazy. All the way out east to I-25, pretty much where I'm at, almost hit Erie. And it also, is heading out west as well, with a bunch of new builds out there too. If you're somebody who likes the older homes, maybe the more established home, the mid-century homes, Broomfield is a great place to look into, because they have those everywhere. And what's cool about those is, I guess a couple things, because you could either get them to where somebody's already taken it and flipped it and it's already modernized, or if you're somebody who likes to do that on your own, you can get something right now and flip it on your own. And actually, in this market that we have going on right now, where it's slowly turning into a buyer's market, you might actually find something at a great price. A great thing I do like about Broomfield as well is there's a lot of things that are going on within Broomfield. So you do have the Flatiron's Mall. That's going to be there's 3 major malls in Colorado, or at least the Denver metro, and the Flatiron's Mall is going to be the one that's going to be the closest to this area that I'm talking about. So you're going to have the Flatiron's Mall, which is located obviously in Broomfield, and it's only going to be about 15 minutes from Boulder. That's going to have all your major shopping. It's going to your internal mall, okay? So it's going to have, your normal stuff, your Macy's and all of that normal stuff, right? And then you're going to have Westminster Promenade, which is not Broomfield, but you do have the Westminster Promenade, which really piggybacks right there. So you have all of that conveniences too. So you have the movie theater there. You also have the movie theater at Flatiron's as well, but you also have it in Westminster Promenade, and then you're also going to have another one at the Orchards, which is essentially Westminster too. But again, all of this is like a big blurb of Broomfield, so it kind of all mixes in between when you're living in this area. Broomfield also has a lot of golf courses. So if you're somebody who likes to golf, you have golf courses all over in Broomfield. If you're a renter, if you need to rent opposed to buy, Broomfield is key. Broomfield is a great, great place to look into rent or apartments, because people love Broomfield, and you're going to get a relatively good price. I mean, Colorado rent in general is still going to be pretty high, but I worked in property management in Broomfield for over a decade, so I am very familiar with the Broomfield area when it comes to rent and the apartments are exploding out there. If you need something that you want a personal owner that you're renting from, Broomfield is great too, again, because everybody wants to live in Boulder or close to Boulder, so all these people are renting out their houses or townhomes because they know that people want to move there. Another great thing about Broomfield is just its beauty. There's so many, gorgeous areas, gorgeous trails. They have bike paths that'll actually take you all the way out to Boulder, but they'll take you all the way into Denver. You're gonna just really experience the views when you live in Broomfield, just because it's so pretty out there, and the mountains are just right kind of in your face. No matter where you're driving or where you're at in Broomfield, you'll see them. Now, I will say one drawback to Broomfield, in my opinion, is that there isn't kind of that downtown area that maybe you either want or don't care about, but either way, just want to pay, bring it to your attention, is that they don't have one of those, downtown areas where you could walk around. There's like shops, things that, like Erie or Loveland have. They don't have that. So I do find that to be a little bit of a bummer, only because it is so big. I feel like it would be great. I heard that at some point they're going to make it, but I've never seen it. So, just kind of keep that in mind. But they do have a lot of parks, a lot of recreation out here. So you're going to have the soccer and baseball parks and all that stuff all over Broomfield. But they just don't have that main downtown area, which a lot of the other areas do have. Number 5 is actually going to be Windsor. And Windsor is going to be one of the, I won't say newest areas, because it's definitely been around for a very, very long time, but I feel like it's becoming a very, very popular place to be, and it's now becoming on the map for a lot of people to look into and to move to. So why Windsor, or where Windsor? Windsor is going to be about an hour north of Denver. So it is going to be quite a bit farther, and this is the first city that I'm mentioning that's actually on the east side of I-25. So Windsor is going to be a small town, but it's rapidly growing like crazy. And Windsor actually reminds me a lot of Erie, being that it has a lot more houses than it does conveniences, I guess you can say. Like you have, like I said, you have your normal stuff. You have your Walgreens and your Burger King and, your fast food joints, your dollar store, whatever, but you don't have those big box places, the Targets, the Walmarts. So if you do live in Windsor, just note you most likely are going to have to leave Windsor and go to Loveland or Greeley, or even Fort Collins for that matter, to get some of your bigger items, or to maybe go out to eat to a different restaurant than maybe that Windsor has to offer. Now, Windsor is definitely known for their golf courses. They have, I believe, 3 different golf courses out there right now, but they're amazing and beautiful, and people always talk big praises about the golf courses out there. One thing I personally love about Windsor is that it actually has like a shoreline. So there's a bunch of lakes out in Windsor. So most likely if you live out in Windsor, you might have a house that's either going to be on the golf course, or it's going to be on the lake, or you're going to have some sort of view, right? But the lakes, there's like a shoreline. So that's where actually they're going to have all of their festivals and their events, because it is such a small town. So they do like to bring their community together. And they have all of this stuff right here on the shoreline, which is very unusual, because Colorado, we don't have beaches. We don't have anything like that. So whenever we get something like that, like close to that, we always think it's really cool. So you have the volleyball nets, and you have food trucks, and you have, all the kiddos running around, and it's just really, really cute. They have a downtown area that has like coffee and ice cream and, like a pizza joint. It's just a really, really cute little area. And then expanding it, you have a lot of houses, like a lot of houses. So there's some major communities out there: Rain Dance, Pelican Shores, Greenspire. There's some major neighborhoods out there, and they're just pretty much taking over Windsor and giving it a name, because you get a lot of house for a lot less money again. Now, I will say that Windsor is going to be a little bit more, well, definitely more than Longmont, but it's going to be pretty comparable to Loveland. You're going to hover right around, the $500,000 mark is a median house price out there, and that's going to be for a new house. You can get something obviously less expensive. It will be older because they still do have the mature homes, the mature landscaping, all that stuff. But I will say, for the most part of Windsor, it will be new. Like it's not a new city by no means. But it's just newer for everyone else out here. So if you're thinking about moving to northern Colorado, I would highly consider Windsor. mainly just because of the price point and that you could get a great house and it's so pretty if you still want that small town feel, because right next to it is Loveland, and Loveland's going to be a lot bigger, a little bit more expensive, but you don't have, it's not the same feeling. So it depends really on what type of lifestyle you want to live. Windsor's going to be about 20 minutes outside of Loveland. So it is going to be a little bit farther. So if you're looking at a little bit more quiet, a little bit more peaceful, I would probably go to Windsor. If you're looking for more amenities, more conveniences, I would probably go to Loveland. So anyways, those are my top 5 suburbs north of Denver I think you should consider if you're thinking about moving to Colorado. Please reach out to me anytime. I love to hear from you, so I would love to help you reach out. Remember to click that subscribe button right there. That way you are notified every time I have a new video. And then to the next video, take care.